Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Talk2Rami show. It's exciting because I have a great person in my studio, Clarissa Cardenas. I think I said it right.
You did.
But she's an amazing person. She's not only an entrepreneur, but, she's got a unique name for herself as Austin Concert Queen. And we're going to get into that, how she got that name. But she's a female advocate. She's got a nonprofit. Lots of stuff going on. We're going to talk about that. And make sure you watch and share it with anybody you can, because we're all going to help each other. Clarissa, welcome.
Hi. Thank you for having me. I'm good. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. I heard a lot of good things about you because
They're all true.
Yeah. we have quiet mutual friends in Austin, and you created this amazing name, Austin Queen, Concert Queen. How did you end up with that name? And what did you get into the concert?
I know. It's such an ambitious name. And at the time, my friends were like, if anyone can call themselves a concert queen, it's you. And so at the time, I started ATX Concert Queen about 6 years ago. And basically, I was just always going to shows, and I was a medical sales rep at the time. So I had this huge, I was basically funding this lifestyle. I know people are always like, who's funding that? Myself. I was very proud of that because that's a common kind of thing. I'm like, who's paying for that? I'm like, I was paying for that. So I was constantly going to shows, VIP, and just paying for that experience. And then one day my accountant's like, Clarissa, you spent X amount of money, which is some people's salaries at the time. And he was like, you need to do something. So for me, I was like, I need to turn this into some kind of
You started for
passion.
fun.
Yeah, I started just for fun, and people were constantly reaching out and being like, Clarissa, I don't know you, but you look like you go to a lot of fun things in Austin. What's happening? What's going on this week? And so it just kind of snowballed. And then I had two friends in the same day both call me the Concert Queen of Austin.
Wow.
So I took that. I was like, okay, universe, I hear you. I'm going to go ahead and change my name. So I changed it to ATX Concert Queen, and I started off with like 800 followers at the time. So everything that I've built, I'm very big on. Value for me is integrity. And
I love that.
So for that, I've never bought a follower. I've never bought a like. Everything has been organic, and it shows. The results show. I just want to shout out everybody who follows me, everyone who's ever supported me, because without them, it's been building of the trust.
Yeah, I saw your Instagram feed, actually, ATX, Austin Concert Queen. You are very engaging with your audience.
Yes.
Like, I see that you're responding you have over 25,000 followers. How you manage that? And I know you do. I saw it. And I say,
Yeah.
you post it and you respond to it, you reply it. That, I think that makes you authentic, and then be you. And as you said, you're all about people. Is that right?
Yes. Thank you. And you are as well. I think that's something that we share in common is community and authenticity. And I think that's something that is lacking. And like you said, I genuinely, when you love it, it's not forced. And so I love connecting with people as you do.
Yep.
And that's a value for me. So knowing, like, nothing I ever do is forced or fake. And if my followers know that. I don't even like calling them followers, but my friends, my internet friends.
I like that. I call it the friends too, because,
Yeah.
followers, what is the point of somebody that follows you and you don't know him? Like,
Right.
you have a lot of friends, but you don't know him, which is sometimes
There's
happens.
so many of those, and I'm sure this has happened to you. But over the years, there's so many people that there's creators and consumers, and I feel like I have a lot of consumers, and that's okay. There's some people who will never be comfortable in front of the camera, who will never be comfortable putting themselves out there, and there's people like you and I that are creators, and you're creating a show, and I created a bunch of different things that I'm constantly working on, and I need people to consume that. So it may not be, I'm not sitting there consuming the news because that takes up mental energy or different things. So I really, for me, and like you said, having the time to really talk to everyone, it comes from making the time and protecting my energy, number one, and literally where it's going. Because it's like I can get all worked up about one thing, and then and I kind of learned that early on during like the Black Lives Matter movement. because I was trying to constantly please everyone. And
What you were trying to do that you're pleasing. That's kind
I was trying, right? And I realized I was like, it doesn't matter. You know, I got annihilated on Instagram for posting a photo. And granted, I was literally doing a fundraiser for Safe ATX, for fundraising for Black Lives Matter. I was doing all these things, and there was a big showcase I was doing with my friend Paul Smith, 12 Rivers Realty, and I got annihilated for this photo. And people were just, and it wasn't, compared to the things that I post now, it was nothing. But like, back then, I got annihilated. And that was one of those things where, and I was very calm. I think I was telling you earlier how I kind of respond, but I was very reactive then. And I was very like, why are these people, like, they don't see what I'm trying to do, and can't they? And you go into a different state. And so being in that angered state, I was having some conversations, but I also realized it didn't matter what I could post anything, and someone's going to have an issue with it, and someone's going to love it. So I've kind of learned to just be in this middle road. And that's where I live my life now since then. Like, yes, the compliments are great and the nice things, but I also take the bad things just with the same grace, because I can't let my mood, I'm going somewhere, and I have my long-term vision of where I want to go, and going that place, I cannot, yes, those compliments and those great things, and it's nice to get that positive feedback, but there's also going to be negative feedback. And if you get hung up on either one, then you're not going to be objective to where you're going. And that's what I've learned for myself.
Because, I look at your stuff, and you are very open on your post about like a society where you stand, female power, female entrepreneurship, your sexuality,
yes,
everything else. And I really like that, because a lot of people, they not like that, be honest with you, because they're all afraid of the judgment. And you were there, I was there, because I believe that whatever you and we do, they're going to judge us.
Thank you for that.
It doesn't matter. And you can't please everybody. You know it.
And that's my biggest, and speaking of my other value, the biggest thing that turns me off with anyone, like I immediately will just shut off, is judgment.
Oh, God.
I hate being judged. When I was going through my life coaching certification, I remember doing like a peer-to-peer coaching session, and she met me with some judgment, and she called me, I was telling her about a situation that happened, and she called me a brat in the moment about the situation. It was like something that happened, and I was like, you can't, as a coach and as a therapist,
that's kind of weird.
You don't label. And she was learning as well, in her defense. But for me, it shut me down. And I was like, you can't label other people's emotions, their feelings. Like, I can't sit here and call you a name and then expect you to take feedback from me when you have a different association to that word brat. And she's like, well, isn't this kind of bratty behavior? And I'm like, to you, and she was speaking from her own past experiences, and maybe she had a different upbringing. So people tend to look through their own filter, and they're not really putting themselves in other people's.
Because they're not listening.
They're not listening.
They're not listening. They're judging.
They're
it's
judging,
a totally different
and
thing.
it's through their filter.
Yes.
So they're not looking at it. And I'm so big. I almost think I'm like into astrology and all that, but I feel like I'm a little bit of Libra as well, because I'm always looking at the other side. So I'm always playing like, okay, but that comes from being a person who has been through a lot. Just like, I know I've read your story. You have a fascinating story. And so I know
thank you.
You've been through a lot to get where you are, and everything you've built. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
But I feel like it takes, and not saying that everyone needs to go through some kind of trauma or some hardship, but at the end of the day, like, I've been through it, and I've been through the ringer, and I want to show women, and the reason I'm so passionate about it, and being who I am, and having this platform, and doing these things, expressing my sexuality, creativity.
It feels so good.
Everything. But you have to do it, and I know that I have to do it, because ultimately I want women, the shame behind what women feel now and how we've been conditioned to feel about ourselves, the way mass media and things like that come. I feel like someone has to rise above it. And for me, like, I've been a victim, I've been a survivor, and now I'm a warrior, and now I'm empowered by what has happened to me. And that's what I want to show women. Like, look, this does not have to define you.
And you use your past to fuel your future.
Absolutely. And it does. And I feel like it's just enough. Are you familiar with Alex Hermosi?
Yes.
Fucking love him.
Yeah. Alex, Here you go. You got
come
too
on
fancy.
Yeah, I love him.
Yeah.
But he talks about how, I mean, because everything and for people that are not familiar with Alex Hormozi, he's this ex-CIA agent, spy, and I love all that stuff. But he talks about, I mean, everything they've broken down human behavior to a science. And
It is a science.
It is a science. And he's really talks about how when people are growing up, in order to really be the most successful entrepreneurs in the world, scientifically have had a trauma, some kind of traumatic event happen to them, some really extreme hardship that they have to overcome. But not too much trauma to where it leads you down the road of addiction or some other kind of vice. So, and there's some truth to that. Like, there is truth to that. I feel like I've been through a lot of things that I've had to personally overcome. And I didn't have social media. I didn't have a community to kind of get behind me. And trigger warning, because I'm really big about those things as well. So I was sexually assaulted by my boss back in Dallas, Texas, when I lived there. And I didn't know. I was young. I was working for a Fortune 5 company at the time.
You were in the moment, yeah.
Right, exactly. I was working, and it was at like a Christmas party, and I was brand new to Dallas in that sense of here I was, and I did all the things that I thought as a female. I checked all the boxes. I didn't wear anything too revealing. I was keeping to myself. I didn't bring a date. I was doing all these things. So, and that's one of the biggest things I feel like that comes with the territory of going through something like that is you try to find like, well, what was it? You try to pinpoint like, why did they think they could do that to me? Or why did they think that this was something that was okay? And you blame yourself when you can't make rational, irrational behavior. And that was something that I really struggled with because I was constantly going through the motions in my head. And so it really took me, that was probably the lowest point in my life where I was ostracized from my entire company. And I mean, I walked into a meeting right after everything kind of came out. And I wasn't the one who outed everything.
Really?
I wasn't the person.
How it got out then?
An officer of the company who was
observing.
Yeah, observing. And again, the logistics of it aren't really necessary. But the point is that it got back to corporate. And I was completely ostracized because I was new. I'd maybe been there for a month. And even though I'd been with the company at that time for maybe 5 years, I didn't have the tenure in that space. And this person had been there for 17 plus years. So I remember the most traumatic experience, the first time I ever had a panic attack, I walked into a sales meeting and I sit down and everyone got up and moved to the other side of the room. So to be not only the youngest, be a female, be working for this company, and now everyone hates me and nobody wants me there. It was a lot. And so I learned and I'm a big advocate of mental health. And because, like I said, I've been there and I know what it's like to not have, you don't want to have that scarlet letter on your name for the rest of your life, the rest of your career. So I'm fortunate now that I can be a voice for those people because I remember you get re-traumatized when something like this has happened to you and you're trying to stand up for yourself and you're going through legal and all these crazy things. You just get re-traumatized. So women will tend to I don't even want to mess with it. I don't want to think about it. Nothing's going to happen or this or that. And they just keep moving and they keep going because they just live with it sometimes because they can't afford to leave that job or they can't afford to leave the situation that they're in. So my biggest driver is for all of those women and the people, my nieces, my family, my friends, because I want to be that voice to stick up for them because they may not be able to be in that situation where they can stick up for themselves.
That's where you pick up the name You Are Not Alone.
Right. Yana stands for You Are Not Alone.
I love that. Love that. And you standing behind your vision and what you believe. And you became a female entrepreneur. And as you know, it's not easy.
No.
to be a female entrepreneur in the man-dominate environment, which is I salute you for that because I'm a female advocate myself because I know that we are equal. Sometimes females actually they are smarter. If we have more females in our lives or businesses, everything will be much, much, much better. But with all the past experiences that you had, you still keep going. Mm-hmm. You're putting yourself again in the environment of being a female entrepreneur, going to these events, doing all that stuff, and how you do that.
Well, one of the things, and it's funny because when I was thinking about coming, and thank you for this, because it literally, you kind of connected the dots for me unintentionally. This morning I was walking my dog and I was thinking about what I was going to say, coming on here. Yeah. And one of the things that really connected for me of these two things, so you have the nonprofit, which is Yana, which is protecting women in nightlife. And then you have this other thing that I'm currently working on as well, which is, I've worked with Playboy and I've done, different kind of work with them, but a lot of that is female expression. And I want women to feel confident, be able to walk out, have their hair done, have their just wear their best outfit, feel sexy, but go to an environment that's safe and live in a world that's safe.
But as you know, that's
the goal. Those are two big goals.
But it's very hard for us. I love your idea that, when you go and see a female in the environment, in the, concert, restaurant, bar, business meeting, that they have the makeup, their hair is down, and they're sexy, they're not. The first thing that goes to most people is...
When you say most people, are you saying...
Most men.
Okay, got
most
it.
Men.
Mm-hmm.
How can I do that? And,
What is... Expand on do.
Yeah, it's just how can I get to her? How can I, sleep with her? How can I? She's so cute. She's hot. She's gorgeous. But what can we not look at in the way that under that beauty, there is a brain, there is a mind that is so powerful. You haven't even talked to that person. How could you judge them based on their appearance? That because she's cute, she's well dressed, she's sexy, therefore she's gonna sleep with you. Why we do that? I don't know. Most of the men, they do that. And the first thing goes to our mind is, oh yeah, but we can say, oh, she's beautiful. Let me see what's going on in her brain, because what triggers female communication, acknowledgement, respect.
Right.
Is more than anything else based on my experience. You might be, okay looking, but it's people want that. We are social animals.
Right.
But being female, do you agree with that?
Well, I'm not a man, so I don't.
But you dealt with the men.
I've dealt with exactly.
I'm sure you had experiences.
I've had a lot.
You were absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you. But there, like you were saying, there's more to me besides that, and so what I want
100%
men to understand is exactly what you just said, is that you might have that initial reaction and a woman, but then now that you've been educated and then you're going to know that there's something else that doesn't need to be, that might be your initial reaction, but that doesn't have to be the reaction
that you want to take, your action you
right.
want to take. Keep it in yourself.
If you're going to do that, as a man, if you're going to approach a woman, you're going to think twice, hopefully from watching this, hopefully from the way we're communicating. And I'm so lucky that I'll just call my followers, my subscribers on Playboy, everybody on there is extremely respectful. Anyone that's not, I don't have to talk to them. And that's the biggest thing, is boundaries. I don't have to engage with any man if I don't want to. And that's what I was telling you earlier. And that's one of the things that I want to do with Yana is assertiveness training, because women, we have been so conditioned to be quiet or to not necessarily share our opinions. And that is one of the things that I really do love about the Playboy whole platform and everything that they stand for, because they've been amplifying voices for women. And I know that there's controversy and things like that in the past. I can only speak to present day and moving forward. And they're all about amplifying women and empowering women to basically, we've been sexualized and hypersexualized, I feel like, our whole lives. I know I have, which is what's conditioned me to be, I have clinical body dysmorphia by 2 different clinicians. And what that means is it's basically, when I look in the mirror, what I see is, I could see like a fat cow. And See, and so someone that doesn't understand.
Yeah, you got to explain it. This is amazing.
It's a different language.
Yeah,
so people that are watching this that have body dysmorphia, they understand and they know what it's like to, because I've communicated when people have body dysmorphia, it's like it's like this weight just lifts off your shoulders because you're speaking the same language. And then when you're speaking to someone who doesn't get it, because the first thing that they say, exactly, the first thing that they say is, "Oh, you shouldn't feel like that," and that's not. It's the same way of when you're talking to someone who's depressed.
Yeah, you shouldn't be depressed.
Exactly, yeah. It's the same.
I get it.
Conversation, and granted, and I've had men reach out and they're like, "Hey, I think my friend has body dysmorphia. She's always." And how can I be there to support her? And so the way that you do that is just acknowledging, hey, I'm sorry that you're acknowledging their feelings. And that's first and foremost. I'm sorry that you feel like that. I obviously don't feel like that, but that's not what matters. It's how you feel and how you want to move forward past this. I'm here for you and to support you. And if there's anything that I can do for you. So it's just being a more support system than it is trying to tell them they don't, because it's like anything like that. You're going to be met with resistance. It's not really, like I said, telling someone, well, why are you depressed? You've got this, the most depressed people are people that have everything.
Yeah, you are right. Yeah,
they're the ones with quote unquote the best quality of life, but then they're also the most depressed. And so the same kind of goes for body dysmorphia. And I had a huge bout with it last Friday. It came rearing its ugly head, and I was on the verge of a panic attack. And I felt it, and it was because I was about to shoot with a man. I hadn't shot with a man, and you have to do what's best for you. And like for me, that shoot, for reasons the universe said no, it didn't happen. And now I realize for myself, I'm like, okay, for me personally, I want to shoot with women that make me feel comfortable for that type of content. And so that is, but again, that again is what I like about it, is that I own my own content. I am the person who's producing it. I'm the person who's shooting it with the photographers, with these different people. And it's my choice. And so the way I kind of view it, like, this is my museum. You can come to my museum, but you're not necessarily telling me what to do. Because
you mentioned something very interesting, and I want to elaborate on that. I think it doesn't matter, man or woman. I think we are conditioned to something in the past.
Right.
And this is an example. I don't know, you went to the animal circuits, but you say, the big elephant, they tie the elephant with a rope with a stick, and the elephant can really destroy the whole circus and then run. It doesn't, because I heard and I read that the elephants, since they were babies, they were tied them to the rope, and then they couldn't move. They conditioned themselves that, okay, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to even try it. I think as a human being, it doesn't matter, man or woman. I know so many men too.
Right, there's men that have.
We condition ourselves based on the past, and we don't want to break off of that.
Well, I agree and disagree to an extent. It's not. I don't think it's necessarily that you don't want to. Like, would I not have body dysmorphia? Absolutely. Like, I'm not choosing to have it, and I don't think that's something that is it's not my choice. I wish those things didn't happen to me in my past, and those are things, whatever it is that I'm doing the therapy to even get to this point, to have the different, I'm literally scratching, this is the tip of the iceberg of the things that I've been through, but to know like where I am today, and like you said, it's definitely not a choice, but it's how I choose to move forward. So am I going to choose to let these things define me? It's just like therapy. When you go to therapy and you work on one specific thing, maybe you have a trigger of every time, you've been in a car accident, so you're scared to get in the car. You gradually work on therapy and getting comfortable being with the car, trusting the person. So everything is that person didn't choose to have that happen to them, but yet they're dealing with it, and eventually they can maybe get in the car and drive again. So I feel like everything that has happened, and like you're saying, with men and women, I think it's unfair to just say that they're choosing to stay stuck, because I do agree with that to a fault as well, because I do think that you do have a choice every day.
We all have choices.
We all have a choice, but am I going to so like on Friday, like I chose to overcome that, and I've overcome a lot, and I think a lot of that comes from playing sports my whole life.
What you were playing?
I played basketball. So
wow.
I played college basketball.
That's why you're so tall.
Yes, I used my height, and I slept like a bat and stretched my legs. But I think playing sports was instrumental, like kind of in hindsight, of really making the foundation of who I am, because I had to learn to push through. Like when I was in college, I went to school in Mobile, Alabama. I couldn't just like drive home to my parents' house, you know. I had to like, if we were there, we would run in this type of weather was over there, and the humidity, and we would run at 3:00 in the afternoon on the fields, or we would run up this giant hill at my school, or we would do these crazy sprints, and it was a team effort. So if one person didn't make it or didn't hit it, then we all had to do it again. So you learn that you have to push through things, and I couldn't just give up, because if I gave up, then everyone was losing in essence. So I think I really learned those kind of foundational building blocks where I've never looked at an option of quitting. Like I don't quit anything.
You don't give up?
No.
Why not?
I just don't. That's not an option to me.
Just keep going.
I keep going. And I've had a boss one time.
How is that working for you right now?
It's great.
Really?
It gets me where I need to go.
Amen.
And I think it's what's gotten me here. But I think I had a boss one time who gave me, it was my first job out of college. And he goes, Clarissa, you have this thing where if you don't get what you want, you are right away
persistent.
You go around upward, like you'll figure it out and you will get it done. And that's my thing. I just get it done regardless of what it was. So, I mean, speaking to college, like I really slacked off my freshman year. I had, I was barely kept my scholarship to learning my senior year. I was literally 8 a.m. taking all my hardest courses. I got a double major in finance, economics, and business management. And I was taking the hardest courses. I pulled a 4.0 on top of playing college basketball, on top of doing stock at Gap. I would go, because that was the only job I could have to make money. So we didn't have like a stipend that they give kids. Like I had to, if I wanted money to go do things, I had to go make it. And so, and I blew through all the money I made in the summer. I know how to spend money.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, but that was something that, it taught me a lot. Like I would do stock until 4 a.m. at Gap and folding clothes and putting things. And then my first class was at 8:15 that I probably slept, was sleeping in class, but I was there. And I had a 4.0 my senior year.
Amen.
So.
What we were talking right now, I'm so happy you mentioned that, we have our challenges, female, male, and we're going to work on that.
Yeah.
But, we work on that, and you can tell people how to do it because you went through it.
Right.
But the next part of the equation is how we can create that safety zone. Like you go to, you are in the industry that is very hectic. There's a lot of stuff is going on.
Right.
Like you go to the concert, you go to the restaurant, to the bar. Like there is an ecosystem of something going on that the female, they feel threatened. Like it's something that they don't trust that ecosystem that they're going to go in there and feel safe. For example, you go to a bar, you go to a restaurant. How are you going to trust the bartender? How are you going to trust the people? How we can change that as a person that you are all into the concert. Right. You do all this stuff. You see the stuff that I haven't seen because men, they don't have that kind of eye.
Right.
You see it. How we can make that environment safer for females, especially in Austin.
Yeah, well, I have a whole plan.
I love it.
And it's a lot to get into.
Is it education? Is it training? I don't
know.
It's
all of it. It's all of it. And like I said, it's literally too long. So I would just say, stay tuned because it's come. Is it that what you're working on? Yes, that's exactly what. So that's exactly what it's for. Is because, like you said, the safety of the venues, and there's different organizations, and everyone's doing their part. But the problem is bigger than me. And it takes I would say my biggest personal kind of thing that holds me back is perfection. I want everything
Are you a perfectionist?
I'm definitely a perfectionist.
I like
things to be perfect, and that's sometimes to a fault. And that's why everything looks, I feel like you're a little bit of a perfectionist too.
A little bit, but
a little bit.
Not like, nothing is perfect, but we can't wait for the right time or everything to be
that's what
perfect.
I'm learning. Mm-hmm.
That's what I learned, to be honest with you.
Yeah. How did you learn that?
I had a training officer in the Army, and he always told me, when you have a clear shot, take the goddamn shot. And, and you might hit it and then just adjust, shoot, shoot. Or some people, shoot, adjust. But there's no right time for doing things. That's what I learned. Sometimes before I waited it and I lost that opportunity because I was waiting. No, it's not the right time to ask that question. It's not the right time to pick up a phone and call. It's not the right time to send that email. And I delay it, and the opportunity was gone.
Right.
But because we want to be perfect to do the things, but most of the time not going to happen. You got to do something. As you said, keep going forward.
Yeah.
You can't just stay still and say, I'm not going to move until everything is going to be fine. No, don't talk to me. But you said, I'm going to get up. I want to go. I want to move. I want to go. I think that's the things that make a lot of people, still and hold them in one place.
Yeah. On the fear.
Fear
holds everybody.
Fear of failure, fear of
Right.
objections. Yeah, they're gonna say no. Basically, with your program, you might go talk to 3 partners. Hey, can you donate some security cameras?
Right.
And they might say yes or no. Say, yeah, we're going to give you on the cost. But if you don't ask, you don't know.
Exactly. And I think that you touched on, that's a huge thing, is just asking. And I've learned, I grew up hyper independent where I never asked for help for anything. And that's kind of...
It kind of stubborn, right?
I wouldn't
Are you a
say,
stubborn person?
I wouldn't say I'm stubborn. I have opinions.
Not at all.
I have opinions.
That's different.
I know what I like and I know what I don't like, but it's all based on past experience. And if I don't know, I'm very aware. And that's what made me so successful in my first medical sales job that I had, because I've never once been, I wouldn't say I'm stubborn. I would say
Are you open to suggestions?
Absolutely.
Or feedbacks?
Uh-huh.
That's wonderful.
Absolutely. I don't know everything. If I think I know everything.
I'm exactly like you.
No, I want to learn. And I want to learn. And that's what we were talking about earlier about collaboration, because I feel like we are stronger together. And like we were saying earlier, there's just a lot of separatist people, or people are threatened by other people. And I'm like, I'm not in a competition with anyone. And it makes me laugh because that's a different frequency. And I actually, to me, that's
I got a good partner for you to help.
Okay.
Diaz Security.
Okay.
Diaz. John, if you see this, you listen, you got to help Clarissa. Okay, you got it?
That is part of it. That is definitely part of it. Is getting,
John is amazing.
Is getting grants and things like that for venues. Like I said, it's so long and extensive, but
I'm proud of you. That's the
thank
big
you.
project.
I'm really excited.
I haven't heard anybody to do kind of thing.
It's very ambitious, but like I said, that's one of those things where I have this divine, and I know we both share a love of Tony Robbins.
Oh, yeah.
I love Tony Robbins.
I learned English from him.
Did you really?
Yeah, because I couldn't speak English when I came here, and I bought his, his cassettes, the audio cassettes, and I had a Mazda Protege 1993 black, 4 doors, and I said I want to learn because I stopped playing, and I would get probably 10% of what he was saying. The rest, it was just like a different language in my ears. And I said, and I was a dishwasher at a restaurant. And I said, I want to learn. And, my ex-wife, she had the car, and sometimes I was drive I used my bike, and I had a Walkman. And I was putting in my Walkman, and I listened to it every day. After 6 months, I got to 75% I would understand what he's saying, and then got it. I still kept the cassettes, and I hope one day I can, sit with him and have a chat, because I owe him a lot, and I still listen to him, and he was really my, a mentor from the virtual mentor, I call it. But yeah, he's an amazing guy, and that's how I learned English.
He's amazing. I really aspire to be like him in the sense of the way he reads human behavior. I'm really good at reading behavior in humans, and I love behavioral psychology, behavioral economics, and the sociology, and just seeing how people. You'll see me.
Very fascinating, isn't it?
I'm very fascinated by all that, and I sit and I observe more, and I think that's something as I've gotten older. I used to be young and I'm still young, but I used to be very reactive. And that was because I hadn't been to therapy. I didn't know how to communicate. I didn't know all these different things. So I've learned a lot about communication, and that's why I'm very calm. It takes.
Did therapy help you?
Oh yeah, and I've been to therapy a couple of times.
The reason I'm asking, a lot of females or even men, they are even shy to say, I went to therapy. They think is they're weak.
See, and for me, I'm like, that's.
I went through it. I had a PTSD. I had to go through it.
Thank you for sharing that.
Oh,
I want. That should be normalized to me.
6 months, more than that. I had to see a psychologist and all that stuff.
And as you should. So you're an advocate for that. And I feel like for me, it's almost like even
You got to talk to somebody.
dating, right? And even in dating, like I look for someone who's been to therapy. Like if that's kind
It's
of
important.
that's kind of a non-negotiable for me. Is if like you haven't been to therapy, you haven't worked on anything. I don't want to be because I have codependency, but like patterns in myself. So I will tend to attract sometimes a narcissist who makes it all about them. And then that feeds into my codependency patterns of wanting to give, life coach them, turn into this whole, and that's a toxic pattern for me. So I know like I need someone now who is the partner that can support
How
me.
you overcome that?
Which one?
You,
Which thing?
Yeah, you're holding yourself to not get to that situation.
Yeah, detachment. And there's an amazing book by Melody Battle called Codependent No More, and I actually went back and I'm almost at the end of it again. But I go and I read certain books, like that's a huge book for me. Yes. And then The Four Agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz. That was the book that I read when I was at the lowest of the low, when I was living in Dallas, and I was in my apartment crying, and somehow that book came across, and I read that book and it changed my life, of not making assumptions about other people, what they're saying, and not being able to control other people's actions. So that's what really helped push me over the hump with what happened to me, because I realized I can't make assumptions of why this person did this to me. I can't control them. I didn't personally do that, and I can't control others. And I think in codependency, you want to control other people, and you want to help them, or these addiction.
How did you get to that conclusion? What was the tipping point?
Therapy.
Like you said, enough is enough. I want to change it.
So when I've had several therapists. So when I was going through that in Dallas, I had two different therapists over there, just for legal reasons and then for personal reasons. And then when I moved to Austin, I had an event that happened that triggered me, that was pretty bad. That forced me. I was like, I have to change. And I feel like the universe will continue to give people, and I told my friend this the other day, I was like, if you don't listen, like the universe is going to keep telling you the same thing that I told you last year. And you're still living the same situation and it's getting worse. So when are you going to make that change? And one of those things, one of the life coaching questions that I love that I used for myself was like, what if not this, then what? Like, what is, if you're willing to take this, what is going to be rock bottom for you? And I think people have to question that for themselves. If you're not thinking about, like you're saying, what's the, sometimes it comes off almost, sometimes like I'll just be talking and it comes out even before I can control it, where I'm talking to a friend and she's like, whoa. And I'm like, sorry, I didn't mean to like go life coach hat on you, but it's like, at what cost to your life? Like, are you sacrificing?
I had that situation. Somebody keep complaining and say, Dan, what the fuck are you doing?
Exactly.
You want to move or you're going to stay? You're going to die or you're going to keep going?
Right.
What's going on?
And it literally just, it's funny, we're talking about this because I messaged that girl this morning because this happened back in January, where she was like telling me she had all these ambitions to do this and do that. And I was like, well, what's stop? Because I was like, I see it. Yes. What's the next step? What are you doing? And she's like, oh, I'm not doing that. And I'm like, why not? I don't understand. And she just, I immediately picked up. I was like, is this something with a mom? Or she's like, yeah, there's some things that, and I was like, well, okay. And then she's like, I don't want to go there. We have to talk about that now because we're having this, like, it's like a fun trip. And so I actually messaged her this morning just to be like, hey, I want to help you break through this because I see so much greatness and amazingness in who you are. And I'm sure you're like this too. Like, you're a hype man and you have no problem as part of, like you said, connecting with people. And I'm the same way. I'm a hype woman.
I'm a straight shooter. Everybody knows that,
Yeah. And I'm the same way. I'm a hype woman. And I feel like the world needs more of that. We don't have to be threatened by other people. If we're there lifting each other up, and my best relationships and my best friendships are the ones, like, I'll just randomly text a friend, just be like, hey, I love you. You're killing it. You're doing amazing. Keep going. And I have a really good support system. But my circle, and I'm sure this has happened for you, but for me, my circle has gotten very small. So while I might
Let's talk about that, because I have a feeling that in one point, that's what we're talking, you kind of audit your circle and you cut some people off your circle. A lot
of people.
I get that feeling when we're talking, okay, she did that, I promise you, that you really audit your circle and says, okay, no, yes, no, yes. And why did you do that? Was it
painful.
because of negative thoughts? It was an influence or energy suckers? Or
Both, all the above. All the above. And I think, like, when I did, and I'm just...
They didn't believe what you believed?
One. Well, when I was doing Playboy, so I did Playboy in January or February. And when I did that, I knew it was going to be very polarizing. I knew I was going to lose a lot. But
And you did it anyway?
Yes.
Why?
For the greater good, for my long-term vision of what I was telling you. I know that if I do Playboy, what I represent and who I am as a person, you know, now I'm in that the Playboy family, and they've been great to me.
But that doesn't define your character.
It doesn't, exactly, and that's what I want women to know. Like, just because I've done that does not mean there's all this other. It's a comma in the grand scheme of everything I'm doing. She's a life coach, aspiring author, Playboy model, nonprofit organizer, founder. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
nothing wrong with that.
I want that, and that's what I want to show women is like, look, you can be. I can be more than that. You can be more than that. You do not have to be defined by one of these things. So that's why I did it. But again, with the long-term vision, and also it's an amazing brand. Everybody knows Playboy. I go and talk about it. That's the first thing everyone talks to me about. They're like, oh, I saw your Play. You know, they'll bring it up to me. So there's a lot of brand recognition there as well.
Yeah.
You know, but doing that, I lost some sponsorships that I absolutely adored. I lost some friends.
Just because of that?
Oh, yeah.
Like the friends, actually, they were your friend
Yeah.
and said, oh, I don't want to have anything to do with you because you put your logo or their logo on you, or you kind of representing the brand.
There's some underlying jealousy that
But
doesn't,
that's
you know, and that's their own thing. And then same with family. Like, you know.
Isn't that sad?
Yeah, it sucks. And like, I get emotional because I love my family, and that's been part of, and I don't fault them on their own ideology and the way that they were brought up and the way that, you know, they just don't understand sometimes. And so even like when I auditioned for Sports Illustrated back in 2019, that was a whole thing, you know, but that's where a lot of my body dysmorphia comes from, is feeling body shamed, and not just from like my family, but from ex-boyfriends or people that made me feel like I should be ashamed of my body, which is why I even more so wanted to overcome all that. Because I know that if I can do that, and I've done this.
You're going to help so many other people.
There's so many other women that have reached out to me that have told me, like, because of you, I went and got out of this situation. There was one particular story that, and I'm sure, you know, I'm not revealing her name, but she sent me this long message of how, because of me and because of what I did, just in general, and following me for all these years, she left a very abusive relationship.
Wow.
She could not be in a situation. Her partner at the time would belittle her for eating certain things. It was like, oh, you're trying to look better than me, or you're trying to do this, you're trying to do that. And she ended up leaving
that relationship.
She left him, and she was like, you know what? Because of you, and I saw you do this, I went and she did a photo shoot, a boudoir shoot for herself. And she made a coffee table book of herself. So she's like, whenever I get down about myself or I get upset or sad,
that's what I'm looking at.
I go and remind myself who the fuck I am. So if I can do that for someone, and like, just as you, like,
you change somebody's life.
And there's a bunch of people like that I'm sure you're changing, I'm changing. And that's
so many people out there.
And that's why I do it, is because my number one passion and what drives me is helping the greater good, helping the people that, if I can affect change in at least one person, and one person's going to feel, and they might not even tell me. They might not even tell me. And there's so many people. My Uber driver the other day, she was like, oh my God, I can't believe you're here. And she's following me, and she starts crying. And she's like, you don't even know what you've done for me in my life and how you've changed my life for the better. And this is my Uber driver who it's weird. I was with her like a year before. Oh, thank you. It's my makeup.
That's good.
But
isn't that a great feeling?
It is, and I feel like the universe gives you those little moments to tell you, hey, you're doing great, sweetie, keep going. You know, because if you don't get that, sometimes you're like, why? I've had those moments where I'm sure
those are messages or stuff.
Yeah.
It's gonna fuel you. Does it fuel you to
100%? And I asked for that because I've told people, I'm like, hey, it's okay to come up to me, or it's okay, unless it's like 5 o'clock in the morning in a warehouse and I'm on mushrooms or something. Like, that's a totally different thing. But if I'm, if I'm out and about, or if I'm in a certain state, or if we're just walking by, I want to hear those things, because that does fuel my cup, and it fills my cup, and it keeps me going. And I feel like, okay, someone's listening, someone's paying attention. And if I'm recommending an event, hey, everyone should go to this event, again, with integrity. Like, everything that I post about is things that I personally have vouched for, people I vouch for. I've been offered lots of money to do things and to promote things that I don't necessarily
You're trying to
align with.
unbox females, unbox people.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, what is the meaning of freedom?
Right.
That's what I'm saying. What is the meaning of freedom? It's a lot of guys or gals, they go to do the same thing. They love their partner. They don't want to come out because the family, all that stuff. But
Right.
at the end of the day, what makes you happy?
Right.
That's all it is.
It really is. And it's what's going to make you happy. And that's, like I said, what I kind of learned during that whole Black Lives Matter movement was, like, everyone's going to have an opinion of me no matter what. So I might as well just make myself happy.
Yeah.
And live my truth and what makes me happy, and who the people that are. So I've had this influx and reflux of people that have come and gone from my account. Some people unfollowed me for this. Like, I remember when I posted my Sports Illustrated photos that I did for that shoot, I lost like 1,200 followers. And it was just a mass exodus. But then I also gained, it was my number one top performing post, and I gained so much from that. So I feel like I'm so lucky that who I have now and the people that are with me are people that are like with me. And these people have, when I posted, perfect example of the support system that I have with the people that follow me and support me is when I posted all those photos for Playboy, I became the number one Playboy bunny in the world after a week.
Wow.
And that's because of them. I didn't do that. They did that. So that just goes to show you, like, the power of community and the power of being authentic and genuine and genuinely appreciative and humble. I've never once, I grew up ugly duckling, classic ugly duckling syndrome, and had to really work on my personality.
You went through a lot, but
Yeah.
what is great about you, be honest with you, Clarissa, is you use all those pain and suffering as your fuel. And most of the people, they can't do that. They just put themselves down, put themselves in the box,
Right.
and it says, I'm done. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to use
true.
it. I'm just going to leave it. But they don't understand. We have only one life.
Exactly.
One life. And
Exactly.
why would you want to waste it?
So
That's
right.
what I don't get it. Because the only thing, I know it, is the time. You can't buy time.
Exactly. And that's what I think that's so hard. And I love, thank you for saying that. And that's what makes it so hard is when I see people that are trying to tear other people down. And I love that quote. Like, you'll never see someone speaking bad about you that's doing more than you.
Yep.
Because they don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time to deal with that noise or the people that are trying to, I got to keep going. And sounds so generic, but like, I do choose love. I'm like, okay, it's hard sometimes to choose that. Like, perfect example, on Saturday or Friday, I went out with my friend, and I was friends with the tour manager of this DJ, and we were waiting. We were literally just waiting to go up to the DJ booth to see my friend. And meanwhile, we're standing there, and these girls just start attacking us verbally, just saying, what do you guys, get out of, one girl tried to like kind of hip check me. And again, I just told you I played college basketball.
Yeah.
I'm the last bitch you want to hip check.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm going to box you out of the
Why they did that?
Because they were trying to get us out of their space. They thought we were cutting in front of them, to stand in front of them.
Yeah.
And I turned around very calmly and I said, excuse me, we are literally, give me 2 minutes. I'm just trying to get to my friend up in the DJ booth. And a girl behind her goes, he don't want you at his table. They just start like saying, like, you're ruining our night. And I'm like, wow, is this really how you live your life?
Wow.
And they were like, oh, is that what, like, just spewing all this hate. And I told my friend, I was like, just give me 2 minutes.
They didn't expect you to be so
I
calm.
was so calm. And my friend was like, you're lucky. She's like, we were both pretty calm. And I was like, just fend them off for like 2 more minutes. I would text my friend, the person came to come get us, like the VIP host, and comes to get us. And I was like, in that moment, I was like, I can literally turn around. The old me would have, done something.
Yeah.
And I was like, who cares? And so we walked in, my friend was like, oh, I was wondering if you were going to turn around. I go, for what? They watched us walk up there. I don't need to spend energy on, that's what I'm saying. It's the energy. Because then I go down to that vibration and that hate and, who knows? And that's where I feel like with what we're doing and everything, you're building a community and it's so special and you're affecting change in such a great way. And we have to continue on the course.
Yeah, I love what you do as well. But, I'm a big believer that, as you are, that everyone has a story.
Yeah.
And, it doesn't matter if you are famous, you are not famous, you're a celebrity. I promise you, everyone has a story that will help someone.
Absolutely.
Because they are going through the same thing. And if you unveil your story, you tell your story,
right,
that will help so many people. That's what you and we are here. That's what a lot of creators, they do that to spread those stories.
Exactly.
And to change lives. For you is your story, how you got out of that situation, how you're going to empower the woman for the future by creating that safety zone for them that, hey, you can be who you want to be and you are not alone. Because I did it, you can do it too. But now you have a community that is going to support you. Don't be afraid. Go out there and be who you want to be. That's so powerful.
Thank
really,
you.
That's
the commercial. That's it right there.
I am serious.
You just summed it up beautifully with a bow. Thank you. That's exactly.
It's just what you try.
See me.
I can see you. I'm serious.
Yes.
I can see you. And
yes,
for what different stuff life coach entrepreneurs do, these Playboy, you basically give them a taste of who you can be. Mm-hmm. Pick it up, mix it up. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
You are the powerful beyond your imagination.
Exactly.
Why you don't want to do it? The man cannot tie you down. The mother, father, cousin, sister, brother, society, they cannot. They do anything they want to do, judge you anything they want to say, but you just need to get up, dust yourself, and keep going, and don't give a shit at what other people are thinking.
Exactly. Because you have to do it.
Clarissa
you have to live fearlessly, and you have to do it just like you did. Coming over here and your whole story, you had to do that, but that's the fear.
Somebody told me I have an accent. I said, fucking deal with it.
It's true.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go to the accent coach and change my accent to a white boy, which is I have a lot of friends. I can't do that.
That makes you unique.
It makes me unique. I am who I am.
And you have to
and
be
I'm not
that.
going to do
Continue
that.
to be that
and if I can change someone's life through my different platform that I do, teaching this, coaching, speaking, talk show, whatever, then I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy because, as I said, we have one life, and I don't want to fucking waste it. Because you know what? The worst thing in life, you know it very well, is regret.
I was about to say, I have a question. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What is your biggest fear?
My biggest fear? Right now, my biggest fear that I am running out of the time, and I cannot help as many people that I want to. That's my biggest fear.
We have the same fear.
This is my fear. I am not afraid of anything else. You put gun in my head. I said, go ahead. If my number is up, I will go. Otherwise, it's not gonna happen. I have no fear. I have no fear of judgment, no fear of failure. I feel like get up. But the only thing I have fear is I don't have enough time.
Same. That's literally.
And every day, every
second. Had the same, because that's mine. Is I wake up and I have this I gotta go. I gotta go. And that's what makes us special, is because, and that's what's going to help us continue to propel us and push us, because I have the same fear. And I was curious. I was like, I wonder if he has the same fear that I do. And you do.
Well, you just believe it when you go back to the time. I'm asking you, would you spend time with a person or a friend that they're going to suck your energy out of you and they not believe in what you believe, and you have the same time for a friend that is going to motivate you, believe you, push you, and which one you're going to spend time with? Because you can't buy it. That 15 1-hour time that you spend with that, cut it. There's nothing against those people. I'm not going to judge you. Live your life the way you wanted it. But I have a mission. I want to go. And you are in the boss or off the boss.
Exactly.
Get in the boss.
Yeah. And there's so many people that, to your exact point of, they won't cut people off because those people have been grandfathered in their lives.
Yes.
Those people have been in, oh, but I've known this person for so many years, or, oh, this person's my cousin, this person's family. And they keep these toxic people in their lives, or they keep these toxic relationships because their fear of being alone, the fear of not being in a, a lot of people I feel like don't know how to be alone these days. And I have, like I said, I'm almost hyper independent to a fault, but now I've realized that being where I am and getting where I need to be, I can only have like-minded individuals in my life because those people are going to support me. And like you said, doing the different, just living the life, there's people that I almost see them like, it's like they're those dogs that like chase their tails, and they're just in this constant loop with themselves and they're not moving forward. And I almost, there's a person that I saw who I was like, wow, this person is literally doing the same exact thing and there's nothing wrong with that, but this person, for them, like maybe that's what their life is meant to be, and that's what makes them comfortable, and that's what makes them happy.
And we
there's people like that want to just live.
Absolutely, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah,
do what makes you happy.
Right.
I'm not going to judge you if that works for you. Some people, they don't want to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
They just want to be a punching puncher. They don't want to be.
Right.
Just stay
the world needs that.
Yeah.
The world needs people like
small businesses.
Chiefs and
that.
Indians, and the world needs, like I was saying, creators and consumers. But it's the people that are scared, that wish they were doing what you were doing, that are talking down about you or saying, those are the people that I just don't have any tolerance for. And it's the judgment. And I'm always like, hey, and I've been guilty of it in weird ways too, of being like, oh, like, I don't like this. But then I'm like, wait, let me think about, instead of just immediately writing this person off or this, because I got to a point where, and even now I have to be very, I'm not getting into this message, boom, 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 boom. You're looking at things on social
give you a
media.
story because you're going to love this, because it's a funny story. Not funny, but, I'm a man, and sometimes in the businesses, my other job is I'm a tech CEO, as we go businesses. I'm one of the couple of big companies, they invite us to the gentleman clubs. And we went there, and this was a young, beautiful lady. Amazing, gorgeous, like amazing. And she came and sat in my lap and all that stuff. And I said, I'm going to tell her. And she was so nervous. I said, this is what you really want to do? And she said, why you ask? I said, because I don't see it in you. There's nothing wrong with it if you want to do it. Nobody's going to judge you. But have you ever thought what kind of potential you're going to have as a pharmaceutical rep, as this and that, with that beauty and everything else? And, she was, and then 3-4 months later, she find me on Instagram, and she messaged me, thank you. I do not work there anymore, and I'm getting my pharmaceutical license.
Oh, wow. See, I was going to say the reverse.
It's just amazing.
I was going to say, let her live her life, and if that's what she wants to do.
And I told her, I said, if you want to do that, do that. But, it's a lot of people, but they have different options.
Right.
You always have,
if you want to do it,
if you want to do it part-time, do it, but try different things.
And I agree with that. I think of some people just become so, like, this is the only option they have.
No,
they don't see other things.
Like you be an entrepreneur, life coach, you're an entertainer, you are
right. But that's my path. And like I said, and not to like, because I think like what you said, like that's exactly what needed to happen in that moment for that woman to hear that from you. And now she's made a change. Like you said, maybe she didn't think about that. I know that there are some women that absolutely love, because it's all perspective.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a woman that like absolutely just loves giving that service to a man. But this is what I'm saying. I kind of always see both sides. And if that's what she loves.
But that doesn't mean they are bad people. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We, unfortunately, as a human being, we're going to judge people based on what we see. Okay. Like every soldier goes overseas, they fight in the war. You come back, they call you war junkies. It's not.
See, and I don't I guess it's all
not.
perspective.
Most of them, they say, oh, you are a veteran, all that stuff. Even I didn't fight for the U.S. Army, but it's still, you go, and it's all about the man next to you. You're not red wing, blue, red, Republican, Democrat, Independent. It doesn't matter. They're going to judge you anyway. They're going to judge you.
Right. And I guess that's where I just kind of block out all that noise. So even like you said, and where people might, that's again to me like an assumption. Like you're assuming that all these people are calling you a war junkie where they're really not. Maybe they're just have something in their eye or they I think that's what we kind of get in a loop. Like I could sit here and just be like, "Oh wow, people think this about me or this about me." And I guess I'm in such a bubble. I really, when I say like my circle's small, like it's really small now because
Is it working for you?
yes. Absolutely.
Is more powerful or less powerful?
More powerful
Really?
because I'm
In which way?
because I'm more focused.
Okay.
I'm not being distracted, and don't get me wrong, I love going out. Like I have a friend's birthday on Saturday that I'm going out to, but I have to when I have certain goals, I know now that I've accomplished a lot of my goals. So when you're doing that, you know what it takes to reach those goals. And if you know what it takes, you know the sacrifice. It's not fun. Do I wish I could just wake up and have 6-pack abs and stay out till 5 a.m. and get 2 hours of sleep and, you know, and eat Thai food or pizza or Italian and have, you know, bikini body ready all the time? Yes, I would love that. But that's not the reality. Reality is I have to get sleep. I have to get at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night.
I got to get that 7 hours.
But it's because I'm training for something. So I'm going to Maui in a week and a half, and I'm going to be doing a shoot out there. But going out there and doing,
I heard that.
I've never been there. So, but I know I have a shoot out there. I'm going to be on camera. So I'm training for that. So I know the sacrifices that come with that. And it's having, you know, we're talking about eating. Like I have my meals, I'm on a meal plan. I have these certain things that I'm doing. I'm working out every day. But it's because I know what it takes to get there. It's
Committed,
the same kind of thing. I know I'm very goal oriented and achiever. So when I make a goal, I work backwards and I know, okay, this is what I want. So when I wanted to do Playboy, or I wanted to do, start some, all these different things, you kind of have to set the goal and then work backwards. And that was one of those things that I learned like during life coaching, you know, SMART goals.
But a lot of people right now, especially females, they're watching this or listening to it. They're going through some rough times, you know, they're going through relationships or decision making for the next career. And what they have to do, something they love to do, and they're holding themselves back because, you know, say, oh, maybe it's not for me, maybe what other people they're going to say. What kind of advice you have that they have to just say, this is what I want to do, I'm going to take action. What advice do you have? It might not work for them, but you went that road.
Yeah, it's just take the first step, do one thing, do the minimum thing. So if like you're saying, if someone is in this job that they absolutely hate, but they have an aspiring to do, I don't know, whatever goal, you have to start somewhere and you have to just start. You have to just do it. Like we were saying, you can't wait until it's perfect, which is kind of what, like, I think when I say perfection, like I've done a lot of things that I'm basically like mirroring a lot of the things I've already done. So I know what perfection looks like in those particular things. But when it comes to like just getting started, it's just doing that first thing. And I think that's what I would tell people.
It doesn't matter how small.
Just get started. Yeah. Just do something. Do one thing. Maybe, for instance, like a photo shoot, for instance. I have girls that are like, oh my God, I would never do a photo shoot. And I was the same person. I didn't do a photo shoot for years. I had to have panic attacks before getting in front of a camera. So finally, I had to be like, and it's whenever you accomplish a goal, I'm like, okay. And same kind of thing. We do this in life coaching. Like, have you ever had a time in your life where you accomplished that? Or when were you ever comfortable in front of a camera? Or what would make you comfortable in front of a camera? So for me, it was shooting with a friend who I'd known for 10 years prior to that from San Antonio. I knew
in the shoot or be in the set?
He was a photographer.
Okay, he was to be comfortable with somebody.
For me, I was like, okay, to do this shoot, I need to. I'm not comfortable with anybody else, and this was just like a basic, like just get in front of a camera with an outfit,
get your feet wet. Yeah.
Yeah, literally, we shot like in front of ACO Live, and I was like crossing the street. Like I'm saying, like very basic, general stuff.
Good to start.
Yeah. But I needed to do something. And then once I got the confidence, and so it builds confidence. So it was like you start building on that momentum of like, okay, wow, I went from that first photo shoot to like where I am now, you know, like doing Sports Illustrated and like going and shooting in a bikini. That was a whole other thing. Like I almost had a panic attack doing that and I was canceled. And I'm so glad. But once I did it and I was in the car, and like you just feel light, and
You achieved something, yeah.
So then you become addicted to that. Like once you know what it feels like to overcome something, then you're like, okay, I can do that. That's why people, we're talking about Tony Robbins and all these other people. That's why they do, like, they challenge themselves to do like one really difficult, whether it's a marathon or something. Like they challenge themselves to do one really difficult thing a year because they know like they've pushed themselves through that adversity and they can overcome it. That's the whole reason people do these cold plunges or they do all these different things. Is because they know like once you've done that, you can pretty much do anything, accomplish your day. Your day is going to be great. So that's what I would say is just doing.
As Nike said, just do it, right?
Just do it. Just do one thing and then get that confidence. Okay, I've done that. Like this woman who saw, even just seeing me
That's amazing.
do it. She went and and I'm sure there's some other story in between there, but she had to take the first step. The first step was leaving her husband.
That environment.
Left her husband and then started doing her things for herself one step at a time. So I feel like if you do that, you're going to succeed.
Because most of the people, I think they don't realize that most of the stuff that happens to them is based on the environment. If you're in a toxic environment, get out of there. Get out of that environment because it's not going to help. Yeah. It's really not going to help. The moment you change your environment, everything changes. But do you have any regrets?
Do you have any regrets? So I try to live with no regrets.
I love that. But did you have any regrets before?
Do I have any regrets? I would say
we all have. I think, I had one.
I don't, honestly, and I know this sounds so generic. I don't have any regrets because I feel like everything, and it's kind of like what Tony Robbins talks about. Like we talked about him, like he doesn't have any regrets because it made him exactly who he is today. And I feel like for me, like I can't anything that I've done, and
you just went through it.
It's made me who I am, and now I can speak to it. Now I have the experience, and now I can talk about it.
Everybody asked me that, what happened to you? I said I was born in Iran, made in the United States.
There you go.
Because I've been through so much shit in the United States. I said it made me a better person. It made me a better,
it really does. It's made you who you are.
Exactly.
And I wouldn't be the person I am if I didn't go through everything that I needed to go. Like, and it sucks. Those lessons really suck. I've put my parents through a lot. I've put my family through a lot. My dad will tell you I'm the reason he lost all his hair.
Oh my God.
But
I can feel him.
But at the end of the day, like everything that I've been through has been for a purpose, and look where I am now. Look,
it somehow is a blessing.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of where I'm at these days, and I do believe in angels and energy, and I feel like I am being protected. I know I'm being protected, and so
I believe that.
I feel it and I know it, and so that's moving forward. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm meant to do, and this is where I'm going. And I just am staying on track. And I have to, like I said, I have to listen to those things.
And you have a lot of stuff to be thankful for. Like
yeah.
Me,
oh,
we both have a lot of stuff to be thankful for.
Absolutely.
That who we are, where we came from, how we get here, and how we're going to help other people. But
Absolutely.
With your Not Alone movement or nonprofit, I'm really proud of you because that's something that is so important to a lot of female out there that make them comfortable that they can do what only they want to do,
right.
But feel safe.
Right.
Feel safe.
That's the goal.
That safety is the most important thing.
That's the goal.
You have a flag and you are in the front and you're going for it.
Absolutely.
That's
someone has to do it.
That's really priceless. And let me know how I can support you.
Thank you.
And through this
having
platform,
me on here is great. So thank you.
Through this platform, anything else, through the connection, whatever, I'm here to help. But I can talk to you all day. I really love your conversation.
Thank you.
But I know you're busy. You got to get ready for the next week and all that stuff. But thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure. How people they can find you?
So I'm on Instagram as Clarissa Cardenas _CQ. So CQ is for Concert Queen. And then if they want to get involved, just shoot me a DM about anything.
And she will respond, folks. I know that.
Certain people.
Yeah.
I don't respond to everything.
Yeah.
But if it's a purpose and there's something that you can help with the nonprofit or help with music or anything, I mean, I think we're always kind of looking whatever aligns. If any of this conversation has touched someone or made them want to reach out.
Just share
in
it.
a positive way. Then yeah.
And if you listen to this, podcast or you're watching it on YouTube, please write a comment. If you have any question, write a question for her. I will let her know. She will read it. And if you like it, please share it because she's in the mission to help as many people as she can. And I am here to support her. And let's all come together and do something for greater good because this world needs more people like her.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to cry again.
No, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for
dear.
having me.
Yeah.